welcome. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for Job and Internship Fair Success workshop through the Career Center. We're going to get started here. In the chat, we are sharing a sign-in form, so please fill that out so that we can see who attended today. And also in the chat, feel free to introduce yourself with your major, your program, and your anticipated year of graduation. And thank you again for joining us to talk about how to prepare for our upcoming virtual job and internship fairs for spring 2022. My name is Carrie McKnight. I'm one of the career counselors in the Career Center, and I'm joined by a couple of my coworkers today. I'd like to have Patrick and Claudia introduce themselves.
Good afternoon. My name is Patrick Harris. I'm an employer engagement specialist with the Career Center. I help run different information sessions and tech talks with employers, and I assist Claudia with upcoming career fairs.
Hi everyone, and I'm Claudia Rico. I'm the employer event specialist. So I coordinate all of the fairs and I just deal with the employer side of it. So if you guys have any questions, please contact your departments for that.
Thank you, Claudia, and thank you, Patrick. So today, again, we're going to be talking about tips to how to prepare for and get ready for our upcoming virtual job and internship fairs. Again, please fill out a sign-in form that's in chat. Feel free to introduce yourself to other students today in the chat. And then if you have questions, please use the Q&A feature to ask any questions. And Claudia will be monitoring the questions along with help of Patrick. And towards the end, we'll try to address some of the kind of common questions that are coming out through the presentation this afternoon. So we're going to go ahead and jump in and get started. So this is what we're going to be doing today. So it's a little bit of an agenda. So the first thing we're going to be doing is talking about how you can find the virtual internship job fairs, and also how to register for those job fairs through Handshake. We're going to be talking about how to research the employers or companies or organizations that will be participating in our job and internship fairs. And we'll be discussing a little bit how you can prepare to introduce yourself or develop your story to participate in the job and internship fairs. We're going to give you some tips about how to get ready and actually attend the virtual fairs. And then finally, we'll talk a little bit about how you could do some follow-up and connect with recruiters and the hiring managers that will be participating in our fairs this semester. So that's our plan for today. And again, feel free to put any questions that you have in Q&A, and we will address those as we go through, and also a few questions at the end. Okay, so let's jump in. So the first thing we want to talk about is what's our schedule for spring 2022 in terms of our virtual job and internship fairs. And I'll share the schedule with you and to help you figure out which fairs you might want to attend. And then we'll talk about how you can actually get signed up to register and participate in the fairs. So here's our schedule for spring 2022. And we have a variety of different types of job and internship fairs. We do this every semester. So the fairs are focused on various programs and majors and career fields and industries. Our very first virtual fair is coming up actually tomorrow. So this is our part-time fair that will be tomorrow, and it's still open for registration. All of the fairs open for registration 1 week in advance on Handshake. So you can sign up for that fair, maybe you already have, to attend tomorrow to learn about part-time job opportunities. And this particular event is open to all current students and also our alumni members. The next event we have coming up soon, next week, a week from today, in fact, is our Business, Financial Services, and Logistics Fair for Jobs and Internships. Again, focused on careers in business, financial services, and logistics. All students are welcome to attend this fair along with our alumni members, and registration again opens up 1 week. So that's today. So you can start registering right now at noon today for that particular event. And then we have, following a little bit later in the month, we have 2 fairs for our STEM students, so our science, technology, and engineering students. The first is for our undergraduate students. That is on Wednesday, February 23rd. Again, take a look for the registration dates 1 week in advance. You can register through Handshake, so you want to start taking note of these dates and registration dates if you plan to attend these fairs. The next event is our STEM Fair for graduate students, and this is an invitation-only event for graduate students in science, engineering, math, and technology. Again, registration will open up for that 1 week in advance. A few others coming up a little bit later in March. We have our Health and Human Services event on March 10th, open to all current students. our education public service job fair, internship fair in March on the 15th, open to all students and current alumni members. And then finally, our last job fair for this semester is our late spring fair, and that is in April on the 12th. And you could register 1 week in advance for that event. So that's our schedule for the spring semester. Again, we do similar job and internship fairs every semester. This is our lineup for the spring, and all of our events are virtual through Handshake. So we're going to move into right now talking a little bit about how you go about registering for those fairs and get signed up to attend to participate. So I'm going to turn this over to Patrick, who's going to talk about how to register on Handshake for these virtual fairs and how to go about that process. So I'll turn it over to Patrick.
Wonderful. So as mentioned, all the career fairs for this semester are planned to be virtual events hosted in Handshake, and I'm going to be discussing how to connect in Handshake with these events. What you should see in that top left corner is like some tabs that say jobs, events, and employers. This is what you can see when you sign into the Handshake platform. If you have Handshake bookmarked on your internet browser, then that is a great way to access Handshake. Otherwise, you can use like the 1.sgsu portal to be able to find Handshake app. You'll sign into Handshake using your SGSU 1 ID or the single sign-on. And when you're signed into the Handshake platform and you see like these sorts of visuals, you want to click the events button, which will lead to all different types of events hosted by SGSU and many employers that request to connect with SGSU. And you'll see different filters at the top. You want to click the one that says career fairs, and that will just exclusively show you the career fairs that San Jose State will be hosting this spring. And from there, you can find any career fairs that you're interested in attending and click that tab, and there will be a register button on that career fair page. It's worth noting that for each career fair, registration opens, I think, is it a week or 2 in advance, Claudia? How late out can students register for events, for fairs?
It's usually a week before.
Got it. So if the registration button is not appearing for you immediately for any of the fairs that you're interested in, don't worry, it'll open up a week before the career fair starts. And from there, you'll also be able to select your schedule, and we'll get to that in a bit.
Like for the business fair, registration will open on the, it's actually open today at noon. So it just opened.
So if you're interested in attending the Business and Financial Services Career Fair, registration is just open today, and you can register for that now using those instructions we've just provided. But registration for the event itself isn't enough. You'll also want to be setting up your schedule for the day. If you haven't attended a virtual career fair, it functions a bit differently in the sense that you'll need to schedule who you're meeting with in advance. And step 1 prior to setting up your schedule is going to be making sure that your profile is visible. When you attend like an in-person career fair, you'll bring a paper resume, and in the absence of that for a virtual event, that resume is going to be represented by your Handshake profile. If you haven't set up your Handshake profile already, now's a great time to do so. It's essentially just like a LinkedIn profile that it reflects your different work experiences and your academic experiences, your skill sets. You can upload your resume as part of your profile. All of this will be included as part of your profile that is presented to employers on the day of the event. And in order to attend a career fair, your profile has to be set to visible, or at least like to one that's visible to employers. You could set to any setting that as long as it is one that's visible to employers. So make sure if you haven't already, the next couple of weeks is a great time to get your profile up to date and make sure that it's set to the right settings so that you can register on time when registration opens for the career fairs you're interested in. So make sure your profile is set to a visible setting. Then you can finally set your schedule for the day of the career fair. Employers have multiple types of sessions that they have set. Most of them are going to be those one-on-one sessions that are much like a career fair. You get to the front of the line, you talk to the employer. These are set for 10-minute sessions in intervals, and you could schedule any time that are open to them. They're on a first come, first served basis, so make sure that you have an idea of who you want to meet with in mind. And then once registration opens, like go ahead and start scheduling as soon as you can. In addition to one-on-ones, we also have the group sessions. These are 30-minute meetings with up to 50 students at a time. So more similar, I suppose, to an info session. And we encourage employers to have like interactivity as much as they can in these sessions. So that will have like a little bit less engagement, but you'll be more likely to get into these sessions because they're at a larger capacity. And lastly, if it gets to be like the time for you to register for the event and build your schedules, but you're not quite sure who you want to meet with just yet, you can come back to this at a later time, come back to the career fair, and you could see all of the remaining sessions that have not been claimed yet by any other students in the available sessions tab. And there you'll just see like all the remaining time slots for all the remaining employers that you can meet with. And then you could just fill out the rest of your schedule as you'd like for that career fair. As I mentioned, like all these sessions are available on a first come, first served basis. But because it's like there's so many sessions and so many employers there, things are changing all the time. Claudia can attest to the fact that employers whose sessions fill up very quickly, they may tend to add additional representatives to the career fair in order to accommodate for more students that they can meet with. So there can be updates even to employers whose sessions are full. So how can you check to see if your favorite employer, if they're full, how can you be notified if they do decide to add more sessions or more representatives? The way that you could do that is by following them in Handshake. So here you could see like an example of like one of our upcoming career fairs, and there'll be a list of employers attending. From there, you can click on any of these employers and then follow them in Handshake. That way you'll be notified via email of any updates that the employer makes, including if they like post new job opportunities or internships as well. It's often a great tool that can be used outside of career fairs, but this is how you can be notified when employers do update their career fair registration with more sessions and representatives. So if your favorite employer is full, follow them and you'll be notified immediately.
Great. Thank you so much, Patrick. Thank you for sharing all the tips and ways to get signed up, registered, selecting your sessions with employers and checking back to find out about other opportunities that might be opening up for you to meet with employers. Again, if you have any questions about this process, feel free to put them in Q&A now, or also we'll be sharing our contact information at the end of the presentation so you can follow up with us any questions you might have about the process. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about how to get ready for the fairs. So once you decide which fair you want to attend, and then you see some of the employers that will be coming, a great thing to do to get ready is to start doing some research into the companies and organizations that will be participating so that you're more prepared to ask questions, make decisions about which sessions you want to attend, make decisions about what jobs and internships you might want to follow up with or apply to after the events. So some things to think about when you're looking into researching employers and companies, organizations. These are some questions you can start to ask yourself when you're doing the research and kind of information you'd want to gather in advance. So of course, one thing in particular, you really want to find out about what are they hiring for? So what kinds of jobs or internships is the employer hiring for? Gather that information in advance before attending the fair. You don't want to attend a session with an employer and say, what kind of jobs do you have? It'd be great if you knew that in advance and were prepared in advance to ask some other types of questions when you actually meet with the recruiters. But ahead of time, you can also find out about what kinds of skills and qualifications they're seeking by looking at some of their job postings and their job descriptions. You can find out where you might be a good fit in terms of what you're looking for to develop for internships or what sort of job experience you're looking for. Also research the company organization to find out about, are they in the media? Is there any press about them? Follow them on social media. What's their reputation? Maybe they have some special awards or they've been mentioned in some articles happening in the local area, for example. So do some research into what's happening with the company organization right now. You might want to also find out a little bit about the culture and the work environment by looking at maybe sites like Glassdoor or going directly to the company's website, or perhaps finding if there's any alumni working there, or maybe other professionals working at some of these companies or organizations. Talk to them, find out, get some insights into the work environment, the culture of the workplace, to find out if it's a good fit for you, and also to help you prepare for your interactions with the employers. And that's also a good thing to do is like learn a little bit about their mission, their vision, and their values, and how that might be aligned with your own mission and values, what you're looking for in an employer for your internships or your future jobs. So definitely take some time ahead of the event to do this research to help you figure out what sessions you want to attend and help you prepare for interacting with the employers, and then what kinds of jobs or internships you might want to follow up in terms of applying for. So how might you go about doing this? So obviously you can go to company, websites and do a lot of research that way. I mentioned Glassdoor is a great site to get some insights into an organization. Also, using LinkedIn and Handshake are other great tools to help you do some research into the companies, organizations that will be participating in our spring fairs. So using LinkedIn is a great place to start. Assuming you're all using LinkedIn already, you can go into LinkedIn and search for a company or employer name through LinkedIn, and then just select the company and name that you want to look at through their drop-down menu. And once you select the organization or company that you want to research or learn more about through LinkedIn, it gives you a lot of different ways to learn about that organization. So you can obviously just go directly to their website through LinkedIn. You can follow them to get updates, to find out what's new. Also, if you're following an organization, it will appear on your profile, and that's a great way to show interest in working for a company or organization. You can also see if they've posted some videos, which is a really good way to learn about their work environment and get a sense of the employees and what's happening there. You can find out who's working there, what kind of jobs they have posted. So a lot you could do through LinkedIn to learn more about a company or organization. So we highly recommend that you spend some time doing that kind of research in advance of our job fairs, and also afterwards when you're getting ready to apply to jobs or internships, utilizing LinkedIn to learn a little bit more about the company or the organization. And in addition to going directly to learning about a company or organization, you also might want to find out who's working there. In particular, if there's any SJSU alumni employed at organizations coming to our job fairs. And this is a good way to get some insights, again, into the culture, the work environment, maybe get some tips and advice from alumni who might be working there. So you can also find alumni through LinkedIn. So a great way to do this is go to the San Jose State University page of LinkedIn. There's an alumni search feature there, and you can search through that tool to find alumni working in various companies, organizations. You can search on what they might have studied, their major or the program at San Jose State. You can search on job titles or skills, get a list of an alumni, and then reach out to them through LinkedIn and see if they might connect with you through LinkedIn, or perhaps do an informational interview with you so you can learn more about their job and their experience working at particular companies or organizations. So a lot you can do on LinkedIn to get prepared for the job fairs, in addition to hopefully having an updated profile that you might share with potential employers during or after the events. So you can also do some research on Handshake. So I'm going to turn it back to Patrick, and he's going to talk you through how you can continue or do additional research through Handshake to learn more about companies and organizations.
Thank you. So in addition to LinkedIn, Handshake does offer like a number of research opportunities for employers. Again, if you go to like the main career fair page, you can see that full list of all the employers attending the upcoming career fair. And Handshake has been updating in the last few years, like even more features for you to research on each employer. I know that like a number of employers are offering like a Q&A section for like students who are considering applying for jobs, people and connecting them with people who work at Target or have worked at Target before. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the example here on the slide, but if have worked with the employer in question before and can like answer questions that students have when they consider applying for it. So there's a whole lot of research that you can do about an employer through Handshake itself. And so if you just look at the employer page or the employer list in the career fair page, that's how you can access all the different recruiters and employers attending the career fair and find more information about them in Handshake. I want to bring up, we're getting like a couple questions about the part-time job fair and qualifications for it. A couple students have questions regarding qualifications for it, and we are getting, like, from what I could say on our end, we are getting like students who are able to sign up for sessions and register for the career fair itself. So it's possible that like any qualification settings for that fair may be on a case-by-case basis. In which case, we may recommend that you email the career help email address with us, because we want to know what are the factors related to your registration so that we can make sure that we're giving you information that's accurate and reflective of what you're experiencing. Because students are registering for this event, and we want to make sure that that your qualifications are set correctly, that the career fair is configured correctly for your attendance, and that we can resolve your situation individually and with the specification that your situation needs. We had the career help email entered in the chat window. So thank you for that. If you're experiencing issues with signing up for a career fair that you believe you meet the qualifications for, then please email that and we'll be happy to help you, or we'll get you connected with someone who can.
Yeah, so currently the two STEM fairs are just for STEM students, the undergraduate fairs for STEM students that are in, again, science, technology, engineering, math. And then the graduate student STEM fair is an invitation only event. So if any questions are coming up about those two, we can try to clarify those with you today, or again, follow us up with us later through our careerhelp@sjsu.edu email with any questions related to those events. But all the other job fairs are open to all current students and also members of our alumni group. So, okay, I will move on unless there's any other questions at the moment, or.
I think the rest of the questions that we could address at the end of the presentation.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Patrick. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit more again, how to get ready for the fair. So of course, you want to do your registration process, sign up for your sessions, research companies and employers and who will be attending to get ready for the event. And then also get ready to introduce yourself, to interact with the recruiters, the employers at the event. And one way to do that is to develop your story, or sometimes called a professional pitch, also sometimes called an elevator speech. It's basically a quick way to introduce yourself in your sessions with employers, so you can tell them a little bit about who you are and maybe what you're looking for, what you're searching for in terms of your job or your internship search. There's some things to think about. You might want to prepare in advance some introductions to, again, get ready for your sessions. And here's some components or elements that you might want to plan ahead and be thinking about how to introduce yourself. And this is also a great overall networking tip that you can do if you're attending other career fairs or networking events. A good way, conferences, for example, a good way to prepare in advance and how you introduce yourself and engage with others. So obviously, first you'd want to say what program you're in or what major you're in, if you have any concentration or specializations. What are you interested in? So what are your career interests at this time? So this example is business administration. The student's interested in digital marketing. One thing ahead about what roles you're looking for. So this is an example of a student who's looking for social media internships. So you might want to have that as part of your introduction or your professional pitch. And then share a little bit about some of your experiences. So maybe you're right now, you're an officer, you're really active in the marketing club, or you're organizing social media campaigns through projects or through maybe work experiences that you've had. And then also think a little bit about, as we mentioned, mission and values, kind of what's your own mission and values? What are you looking for in an employer? So you can think about that in advance. You might want to share a little bit of that into your introduction or your pitch. So this is an example of a student thinking ahead about, they love figuring out ways to connect with people and through interesting technologies. They're really looking for an employer who's interested in values, innovation, and positive customer experiences. So thinking ahead about what's most important to you, who you are, and what you might want to highlight into your pitch or your introduction. So we have an example here of what this might look like as part of the job fairs. So you would come into your session. If there's an opportunities, particularly in the one-on-one sessions, to introduce yourself, you might want to be ready to go with an introduction. So the recruiter might say hello, introduce themselves, and you can say your name, who you are. This example is the students that is majoring in economics. They're really interested in data analytics and applying that to marketing. The student says, in the classroom, I've been working with data ranging from heart rates all the way to median household value. I've crunched and cleaned data, which allow me to also make predictions based on those results. So just a little bit about some class projects, what they're interested in, what they're doing right now. The recruiter might say, that's really great. I'd love to learn more about you. And then they can share a little bit more detail, the kind of experiences they've had in the classroom, but right now they really want to get hands-on experience. So the student shares that they're looking for a summer internship to gain more hands-on experience in a professional setting. And then this is where your research could come in, that we talked about doing the research in advance. You can tailor your pitch to the employers, particularly as employers that you're really interested in, share a little something you know about them. So this is the scenario where a student says, that they're connecting with Amazon, and they share that I know that Amazon does a lot of data analytics, applying to marketing maximize our marketing, to enhance online user experiences, and they want to know whether or not the employer has an internship similar to that, or what kind of internships they might have available in that area. So again, who you are, what you're majoring in, a little bit about your interests, maybe referencing a couple class projects or work experiences or student involvement things you've been doing here at the university. And then if it's a company or organization you're really interested in, target it to them and share a little bit about what you know about them and express your interest in working for them. And a great way to kind of end the introduction or the pitch is have a question. So something you're really curious about their opportunity, something you'd like to learn more about. So you engage in the conversation with the recruiter, and they can follow up with you and ask you some questions, maybe suggest that you apply for the job through Handshake or follow up with them afterwards. So you want to start a conversation with them as well. But certainly very important to practice that in advance and think about ways you want to introduce yourself so you're ready to go, and maybe have a few different versions based on your sessions and who you will be meeting with that day during the fair. Okay, so we've talked about some prep things, the researching, getting ready to introduce yourself, getting your schedule together. So now we want to talk a little bit about, what it's going to be like actually attending the job and internship fairs, and some things you might want to think about in advance to get prepared. So again, all of these are virtual fairs. I think many of us are pretty used to being in virtual environments at this point, but it's still important to think ahead about a few things to get ready for the virtual environment and just get ready for your interactions during the job and internship fairs. So again, it's a virtual event. So you've got to think about in advance some things about your virtual setup. So we like to call it your virtual studio. So that could be thinking about, where you'll be sitting, finding a quiet space, making sure you have good lighting, think about your background. So something very simple, or just maybe one photo in the background, or just a plain wall in the background. You want to avoid anything that looks very cluttered in the background. So test that out in advance. Test your lighting, test your equipment, see how you look, see how you sound, practice those things in advance. And this is also a good tip for preparing for interviews, which hopefully will be coming soon after the fairs. You're getting involved in some job or internship interviews. So practicing setting up your virtual environment just in case they will be doing virtual job interviews. So getting that ready to go is really important. Also making sure that you update your equipment, that make sure everything's ready to go. You want to make sure you have the latest version of Chrome or Firefox, or the recommended browsers to use for this event through Handshake. So make sure those things are up to date. And then just be, think about how you're going to dress. You want to dress professionally, be ready to go. I always suggest to students just dress as if you're going to be in person. Just, you just got to put your best foot forward, put on the professional clothes and be ready to go. It kind of helps you get in the mood. Plus it helps you put out a professional image through the virtual job fairs. So think about that, plan ahead, how you want to dress, making sure you're going to look good and come across a professional image. And then kind of practice a little bit, like, making eye contact with the camera, practicing those things so you feel comfortable with that when you're meeting with the recruiters. One of the things also is to be, just thinking ahead about, what kind of questions they might ask you. It's not really going to be a job interview exactly, but they might ask you a couple of questions like, tell me about yourself. Was a great time to do your introduction or your pitch. They might ask you to share a little bit about what are some of your skills or strengths. So get prepared a little bit of some short kind of common interview questions. And we have an interviewing guide that we'll share with you a little bit later on how you can access that. So you can practice your introduction and, some kind of common questions, or be prepared to answer a few things as part of your interaction. Being mindful of your nonverbal cues. So I think it's really important to smile, to nod, be engaged, be interested in the conversation. So if you need to practice with us, let us know. We can meet with you and through the Career Center to help you practice your introduction. We also have some events coming up where you can actually practice your professional pitch. So keep an eye out on those on Handshake if you want to practice many of the things that we're talking about today. And then just taking some notes and being prepared for any kind of follow-up. So as soon as you finish a session, if you have a few minutes in between, take some notes, remember some key points of the conversation or who you spoke to. That will really help the kind of follow-ups afterwards be, a lot better and a lot easier if you take some notes. Okay, here's just a slide with a little bit about professional appearance and professional dress. Again, we know it's virtual, but I think it's a good idea to just dress professionally, prepared as if you were going in person. These slides give you a variety of different types of professional dress or style, from more traditional business dress to a little bit more business casual. So, these will give you some ideas of appropriate style, appropriate dress for job fairs, and also helping you prepare for getting ready for job interviews, internship interviews that may be coming up soon after you participate in the fair. So thinking ahead about these are really important. Some of you might know that we have a career closet in the Career Center. You can make appointments with us to come in to find an outfit that will be yours. You can take, you get access to one professional dress outfit per academic year. So if you're interested in that, let us know. We can make sure to point you in the right direction if you'd like to visit us here and pick out some professional dress to get ready for the job fairs and also prepare for your upcoming job interviews. So again, lots of things to think about, but I think it's just important to think ahead, plan ahead, how you're going to dress, get ready to answer some questions, get ready to introduce yourself, can help alleviate some nerves and just help you feel a little bit more ready for participating in these upcoming events.
Carrie, we do have some questions on the chat.
Yeah.
On the Q&A. So question number one is, are there any guides the Career Center recommends for updating LinkedIn?
We do have within our job and internship search guide, we have a section on LinkedIn in there. We also have some additional resources, a couple different handouts and materials. So we'll share with you and later in the slide how you can get to the guide that has the LinkedIn resources. And then also, we can share additional information with you if you'd like to contact us directly through our career help email.
Oh, I was just gonna add to the chat room the guide, the job and internships guide.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thanks, Patrick. Yeah, so within there's a section, and then also, us in the Career Center that work with students individually, we can, that's something I do quite often, is meet with students to review their LinkedIn profile. So you can make an appointment through Spark Connect with your career counselor to do that, and that's something that we do quite frequently as well. Any other questions?
No, the other one is if this session is being recorded. Yes, we're recording.
Oh, yes, sir. I did mention that earlier. Thank you. Yes, it is being recorded, and we should have that available for you later.
I think the follow-up question is like, where can students find the recording later on? And I think that would be on our YouTube channel. Would that be right?
Yes, I believe it'll be posted to our YouTube channel. And then at the end of the presentation, we have a link tree that connects you with all of our social media, so you can find it through that. Okay. So thank you. Thanks so much. Yeah. Okay. So we're just, again, talking about getting ready to go, preparing our introduction. We're doing our research. We're figuring out what we're going to wear. We're ready to go. So on the day of, here's some tips to help you get started. So on the Career Center website, we have a live chat feature, which incidentally, you can also ask questions there too, as well as our career help email address. So on the day of the fair, if you have any issues or any questions about your sessions or signing up, making sure you're registered, etc., connect with us in our live chat. And you see a little icon there on our website, and that is available during Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 regular business hours. You can connect with us with questions about through the live chat. Also, we suggest that you log in about 15 minutes prior to your first session to do some of the things that I just mentioned. Check your sound, check your equipment, make sure you've got your Chrome updated, everything's ready to go. And if you do have any challenges and issues, that would be a great time to connect with us. Before each event, we also have student Zoom rooms where you can come in and we give an introduction to the event and we ask questions. You can ask questions, and then we're there throughout the day where you can pop in and out if you have any questions or any issues that come up, technical issues or other concerns that you might have. So we have a lot of support before and during the event to help you out. So just keep those things in mind. Other things to think about once you start your sessions is be aware of staying on mute most of the time. So in case there's any background noise, you definitely want to try to find a quiet, private space if you can, but just in case, try to stay on mute unless you're introducing yourself or engaging with other students or staff or with recruiters. But best practice is to stay on mute most of the time. We also recommend that you keep your camera on. Even if other students or the recruiters or others have their camera off, we recommend that you keep your camera on most of the time. Of course, you're going to want to show off your new professional dress outfit, your great background, and you're all ready to go. So keep your camera on throughout the event. And then, just as we've already shared, introduce yourself with your professional pitch. So practicing that, having that ready to go is really important. In some of these sessions are fairly short, so just having that introduction ready to go at the beginning will help you get the conversation started and get the employer, the recruiter engaged in wanting to get to know you a little better. So again, things to think about in advance. Here's a few more things just to say again, because they're really important, is try to find a private space, a quiet space while you're attending the fair as much as possible. You also just want to try to be very, your professional best self, respectful to all the employers, of course, the recruiters, the other students who are participating, respectful towards the staff who will be there running the event and supporting you throughout the event. Maintaining, your professional, calm, polite manner, observing all student conduct codes during the event throughout the day. And then one really important thing is if you need to change your appointment or you can't make your appointment, please cancel as soon as possible, because as Patrick mentioned, some of these sessions fill up. Many of them are going to fill up in advance. So if you can't make a session, please cancel that in advance so that other students can come in and sign up to attend some of those sessions. So those are just some things to think about: being respectful, being professional, and planning ahead to get ready for these virtual job fairs. Okay, so then we're kind of coming towards the end. So this would be a few things to think about after the event. So as we mentioned, it's really important to take some notes. So during the sessions, it's going to be moving quickly maybe, but as much as you can, try to take some quick notes, or right after the sessions or in between sessions, or definitely at the end of the event. Take some notes so that you'll remember who you talked to, some key points about some of the discussions that you've had with the recruiters or the hiring managers. So keep some notes. It'll also help you with any kind of follow-up that may be required. So for example, a recruiter might say, I've really enjoyed meeting you. Please send me your resume or connect with me on LinkedIn, or upload your resume through Handshake. So take those notes right away. That will help you with any kind of follow-ups. And those could be things like, again, could be applying, it could be sending a resume or cover letter, also could be sending thank you notes, and which is something we highly recommend. So you can send an email or through LinkedIn. Thank the recruiters for coming to the fair and spending time with students. And they're spending, 5-6 hours with San Jose State students. So sending them a thank you note is really appreciated. Also could help you stand out that you took the time to thank them, maybe bringing up a few key points of your discussion or things you'd like to remind them about who you are and what kind of job or internship you're seeking. And then keep track of any kind of follow-up activities. One of the things you might want to consider doing is creating like a spreadsheet, which is a good idea to do for your job search in general, but you could have a spreadsheet for your fairs that you're attending or events you're attending with, who you talk to, the name of the recruiter and the company, the organization that you connected with. Maybe have some notes about the conversation, and then track your follow-up activities. Did you send them a thank you note? Yes. Are you going to be following up with them to apply? Yes. Maybe you're going to have an upcoming interview. You can track that. So keep track of the event and what happens afterward. That will really help you stay organized in your job or internship search. Also, just really make the whole process a little bit easier for you if you can keep some notes and keep organized and continuing following up after the event. So you think about the job fair as just kind of like the introduction. You're meeting them, you're learning about them, they're learning about you, but a lot happens after the event in terms of following up and applying to jobs and internships. So keeping track is really important. And then after that, keep checking back to Handshake. Employers will continue to post jobs and internships after the event. Also following them on LinkedIn, as we mentioned, you can follow, see what's happening with the organization, find out any jobs or new opportunities they might be posting. So continue to go back into Handshake and continuing following the organizations, the companies that you're most interested in. And then finally, After you've gone through the process and you've done some interviews and you accept a job offer, accepted internship offer, then at that point you'll want to stop interviewing and look forward to starting your new job or your internship. So again, keeping notes, keeping track of your conversations and activities after the event, follow up with applying, and then once you receive that offer, you want to stop interviewing and get ready for your new job. Here's an example of a communication that you might send as a follow-up. This example would be perhaps through LinkedIn, or this could even be an email. So as much as possible, you want to make sure you have their name and you've connected with them, and you want to let them know that you might follow up with them afterwards. And this would be a great little message you could send like through LinkedIn or maybe an email. So, dear Lynn, it was a pleasure meeting with you at the SJSU STEM Career Fair. I'd like to stay connected given our conversation based on your needs, looking for analytics interns. You might share a little bit more about, some of your experiences, additional examples of some projects or things you've been working on as a student or courses you're taking that will get you ready for the internship. Let them know that you've submitted your resume through Handshake, or maybe you've applied through their website, and that you look forward to staying in contact with them going forward. So the follow-up messages can be really important. And again, also even just a simple thank you, even if you aren't planning to apply, just thanking the recruiter for their time and how much you appreciate them spending the day with us is a great way to stand out. And then also any notes to reference the conversations you've had with them, share a little bit more about who you are, what you're looking for, and let them know if you intend to apply for their positions or you look forward to the opportunity to stay in touch with them. So this is just, one example of ways to keep in touch and follow up after the event. Oops, went too fast. Okay, this is some of our resources. I thought take a moment if there's any other questions coming in or something we might have missed here at this point.
Sure, now's a good time for Q&A. We'll be happy to address a few.
Yeah, let's take a few that I might go through a couple more slides and then we can come back, see if there's any remaining points, questions.
For starters, I saw that we had a student hand raised.
Okay.
So I'll say that if this person wants to address their question, then they're welcome to.
Okay, Joanna, are you there?
My apologies for the impromptu thing. I assumed that was going to be like set to video. If you're not interested in the question at this time, or if that was no longer available, then that's perfectly
okay.
fine.
Put it in the Q&A and we can come to that.
Yes, that's fine.
Okay.
Another a question that we had in the chat was a situational question. What should you do if you want to decline an offer?
If you want to decline an offer?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so this is assuming you have not accepted it. It was an offer that you're not interested in. Okay, well, I mean, I probably would want a little bit more about it, but generally speaking, you want to be very gracious and thankful for the offer. And then, any professional communications, if it's through the phone or email, however you've been communicating with a hiring manager, you'd want to do the same, put something in writing or schedule a phone call with them. And just let them know your reasons that you maybe are looking at other opportunities, or you continue interviewing, or looking for maybe a job or internship that is providing some training and professional development or opportunity that's more aligned with your career goals or aspirations. That's all perfectly fine, just as long as you, as soon as you know that you're not interested, just as long as you let them know as soon as possible and you're polite and gracious and professional, it's perfectly fine to do that. If it's a little bit more complex of question, I'm happy to connect with student afterwards. If you are dealing with maybe something right now, a particular offer that you want to take a look at, I'm happy to meet with you. If it's questions around negotiating, you can negotiate salary and benefits, and that's all acceptable too. And there's some steps and to that process and resources that we provide through some of our tools actually on this page to help you with declining offers or negotiating offers. And a lot of that is through the site Big Interview, which is one of the resources that we have referenced on this particular slide. So I hope that answered the questions, but again, feel free to connect with me if there's a little more in-depth help you need in that area.
Thank you very much. We're still waiting on other questions from the chat. If anyone has any other questions, they're welcome to post them in the Q&A. You can also raise your hand if you want to raise your own question verbally and with your camera on. I want to like raise one of the questions that was asked in the Q&A, just because I thought it was a great question and want like more people to know about it. And that is, as a matter of like a practical matter of like when you're at the career fair, you have a resume. How do you get your resume to the employer? Like what is the system for getting that across? And I answered that in the chat and I want to just share this here that two ways you could do that. One is that you can post something of like a general resume as part of your profile. Your profile and your resume are two different things. Your profile is kind of similar to like your LinkedIn. We're just going to highlight all of your experience, and your resume is that that concrete piece of paper that you format and outline. But that you might want that resume to be more of like a general format that appeals to like generally the types of employers that you're looking to meet with, because that's going to be shared with like all employers that you connect with for that day. So like whenever you sign up for a session for a career fair, your profile and your resume will be like shared with any employers that you have signed up for sessions for that day. Now, when you're in like the 10-minute sessions, like those individual one-on-one sessions with recruiters, there is an option to share your screen with those employers, and they can configure them however they like during those sessions. This could be an opportunity to highlight certain features of your resume if you want to like go over like certain like standout features of it, or maybe even distinguish like a more tailored resume like just meant for that employer, and like point out like distinctive points. But the matter is like because it's just a 10-minute meeting, you may not have the full time to go over every detail of your resume. Just maybe point out like some quick points here and there for that meeting. But those are two ways. One is like a general resume and you're attached to your profile. The other is having a short bit of time during your 10-minute session with a recruiter. Now, of course, when you apply to any job postings in Handshake or on the employer's website, then by all means, just that will be your prime opportunity to highlight like your tailored resume with them.
Thank you, Patrick. Those are great. Thank you so much. Yeah, those are really good question and good detailed response to that. That's very helpful. Thank you. Okay, so here's our resources and kind of next steps for you to think about. It's on the topic of resumes. We do work with students individually to do resume reviews, and you can schedule with the career counseling staff through Spark Connect. We also have this tool called VMOC, and it's in the one.SUSU portal, also linked from the Career Center website. You can upload your resume through that system to get automatic individualized feedback through VMOC. There's also a new editor tool within VMOC where you can get the feedback and actually start editing your resume through that website. So great way to get immediate, instant feedback on your resume. In addition, we highly recommend to you meet with those of us in the Career Center to also do a resume review. We have some other resources. I think some of this have already been maybe linked into chat, but we have the job internship search guide with tips on how to search for jobs and internships. The section on LinkedIn and networking is also in there. These can be found on the Career Center website under Launch Your Career on the Career Center page. And we also have a resume cover letter guide with lots of tips and resources about how to write resumes and cover letters, plus a section of resume examples by program or major, plus some sample cover letters in there. A lot of good information in those guides to help you get ready for the interview. So again, right after the job fairs, you'll be applying soon in the coming weeks. You might have some interviews coming up. We have a couple resources for that. We have an interviewing guide available on that same section on the Launch Your Career page on our Career Center website. Tips, resources, how to prepare for interviewing, plus the section on the common interview questions I mentioned earlier. You might want to take a look at a few of those before the job fair. Again, the job fair is not intended to be a place for an interview, but they might ask you a couple common questions. So take a look at that guide to get a sense of some of those questions, plus how to answer behavioral questions, situational questions, a lot of detail in that guide. We also have a site called Big Interview, and this is where there's a section on negotiating offers or turning down offers. I mentioned that already, but the major part of that website is interviewing prep. So it's a very robust site for learning about interviewing tools and prep. There's some videos in there you can watch. And one of the main components of Big Interviews, you can actually do videos of yourself, like a mock interview through the platform. You can record yourself answering types of questions that you select, and you can review the videos, re-record them. You can also send those mock interview videos to others, mentors, or those of us at the Career Center if you want some feedback. So those are some really great interviewing prep tools we have through our website. Again, just make sure you are signed on, your single sign-on to access any of our apps and tools. And then, continuing into check on Handshake for additional events. We have a slate of employer information sessions and employer connection events happening throughout the semester. And Claudia and Patrick are involved in putting those together. And if we have time, they might share more about those. But the job fairs aren't the only way to connect with employers. We have many other opportunities ongoing throughout the semester. And as I mentioned, you can connect with the career counseling staff for individual counseling. So it could be resume review, it could be practicing your professional pitch, your introduction, it could be doing a mock interview, preparing for interviews. So we are available to help you get ready for these events and just help you ongoing after the fairs to get ready for job search, internship search, the things you might be involved in this semester. Okay, so then finally, here is where we're located. We are the administration building on the second floor on the corner of San Fernando and 7th. We'll be offering more in-person appointments, and I mentioned the Career Closet is available here in the Career Center. So come check us out for appointments as available. And then here's our link tree if you want to connect with us on social media. We're on Instagram, we're on YouTube. I think we're on TikTok now, so we got a lot happening. Social media, you can learn more about us and what we've got going on through our social media. And there's our general email that I've mentioned, and I think it's been shared in chat a few times, our careerhelp@sjcu.edu. That's a great way to reach us. In addition to the live chat that's on our website, you can find the icon there if you have any questions about anything we talked about today, of course, and or leading up to the career fairs, the job fairs, or on the day of any of these events and these fairs. You can connect with us with any questions you might have about getting into your sessions or engaging with employers or anything that might be coming up for you during our job fair season. Any other questions, comments, anything that we haven't addressed? Or
yes, there's 2 additional questions in the chat. So one is, should we ask them to give us feedback about the interview right after?
I guess is the question, is this an interview, like a job interview after the job fairs, or is this during? I think during, if the question is during, the time is pretty short. So I'm not sure if there would be time for feedback. I suppose if you had a little bit of a mini interview or interaction during the job fairs, career fairs, and you connected with a recruiter afterwards, I suppose you could ask at some point, maybe some feedback later, but the time is pretty tight during the fair. If you're talking about job interviews or internship interviews later on, you can ask for feedback, but as some employers are limited to some of their HR policies, whether they can give feedback about your interviews. I mean, I suppose you could, it's no harm in asking, but they may or may not be able to give you that feedback. But if you're wanting feedback, I would try Big Interview. You could do the recordings through that platform and share your videos with others to get feedback. And you can also do one-on-one mock interviews with staff in the Career Center, and we will provide feedback to you. I hope that answered your question. Multi-layered there.
I'll just say that, like, for a career fair, that recruiter is probably meeting with like a dozen or maybe even like multiple dozens of students like in that same day. Whereas if you meet with them like for a follow-up interview, and like they're only going to meet with like maybe a small handful of people, and they'll be more likely to remember you there. That would probably be the better venue for asking for feedback, if at all.
Yeah, I think at a later time would probably be better.
There is another question within the interviews topic, and I'm sure this is around the fair interviews. So would you say that these interviews are preliminary, where they ask situational questions, or are they more like an informational one?
I would say a little bit more like a kind of informational, meet and greet, get to know you sort of scenario. Like I said, they might ask a few questions about maybe some of your experience or what are your top skills, but again, the time is short. They're meeting with a lot of different students. They probably aren't really going to get into situational questions or behavioral questions. I think that would be a later time when you schedule an actual interview with them. So it'd be, consider it more a meet and greet, maybe a little tiny bit of an interview, but more an opportunity for you to introduce yourself, share about who you are, what you're looking for, and a chance hopefully for you to ask some questions of the employer or the recruiter to find out more about who they are and what opportunities they're offering. I'm just going to advance to the next slide. This is the survey. If you want to give us feedback about our talk this afternoon, feel free to use the link or QR code there. And we've got just a couple other minutes. If there's anything else coming up, again, feel free to put in chat or raise your hand. And as we've mentioned, this recording will be available through our YouTube channel. We look forward to seeing all of you at our upcoming job internship fairs or other events. We also have workshops throughout the semester in addition to the employer information session, employer connection events. So a lot happening. Check out our events calendar on our Career Center webpage. Of course, all events are posted at Handshake, where you can register and sign up for any of those employer events or workshops throughout the rest of the semester.
Someone in the chat had asked if we'll be making these slides available, and I don't think we'll be making the slides available per se, but we will be. I'm pretty sure we're uploading this to YouTube later.
Yeah, if there's things, yeah, usually we upload it to YouTube, but feel free to, if there's some content in the slides, like you had some questions, feel free to connect with us afterwards. If you want to send a direct email to me, you can see my name on the screen. I'm just carrie.mcknight@sjsu.edu. I'm happy to review any of the content with you if you'd like me to.
If you have an interest in any of the guides or resources, we were talking about Big Interview and VMOC earlier. Those can be found on the resources tab of our Career Center website as well.
Oh, yeah.
So if you were looking like, oh, how do I find that guide again? They're all cataloged on the Career Center website.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Patrick. Yes, if you just go to the Career Center website, there's resources, a drop-down menu has all the apps and tools, and then the guides are there. And then if it's a website or an app, again, make sure you're using your university SSO single sign-on to get into like Big Interview, VMOC, any of those other tools. The guides, incidentally, are PDF. They're just PDF downloadable, printable guides that you can just access through our website. And those, again, a job and internship search guide, resume cover letter, interviewing guide, plus a couple others. Okay, well, we want to thank you for joining us this afternoon to learn more about our upcoming virtual job and internship fairs. We look forward to seeing you at those events. Again, we're here to support you. So any questions you have, feel free to reach out before any of the events or even the day of, where we will be available to help answer questions, to help support you. And then keep an eye out on when the registrations open. Again, 1 week ahead of the event, you can go in and start registering and start signing up for sessions and doing your prep and getting ready to participate.